Welcome to Wrestling Chat with Friends, the Tuesday show. Now, don't adjust your screens. First of all, why are we a WWE podcast and I'm wearing this scarf? We'll get to that. There are three members. We have a trios like we always do each week. It's not Ali this week. It is my great producer, Cheats Two Belts. How's it going, Cheats?
What's good, everyone? I'm happy to be here.
Cheats and I co-host the Thursday AEW show on Wrestling Chat with Friends, where you can find us on WCWF Pod on Twitter, Wrestling Chat with Friends on YouTube, Wrestling Chat with Friends on Facebook, my Facebook page. Friends, get the word out. Let's start talking about wrestling more. And I want to introduce my co-host, as always, for the Tuesday show, TG, from an undisclosed location. Looks like a bunker. TG, you feeling good?
I feel great. This is a very comfortable bunker. I'm ready to talk wrestling.
Good. Happy holidays, everybody. Because it is the Thursday show, because we're not doing a Thursday show because of Thanksgiving, we are going to combine, like we used to do, one show to talk about WWE and AEW from this week, and there is a lot to talk about. Cheats, whenever you and I are on together, I always feel more comfortable being the co-host in this. I'm going to turn it over to you. But
Yeah,
since we're doing Thursday,
show.
let's do the Collector's Corner. Mail call this week came in from ProWrestlingCrate.com. We have, they sent me a Mox pin.
Former champion John Moxley.
Former champion John Moxley, yes. All right. I got my second kind of graphic novel comic. The last one was illustrated or written by Abaddon. This one, I can't figure out what it is, but it's Headlock Tales from the Road. Stories co-created by the biggest names in wrestling. Haven't had a chance to go through it, but I got that too. And as always, this subscription sends me one autograph each month. Had a feeling this was going to happen eventually. Happen as soon as November. The One Man Gang, former, I know him in this form as the UWF champion in '87. Some of you may know him as he was Akeem, Prince Akeem, in the old Fed, feuded with Hogan, but I always knew him with the mohawk in the jacket. TG, is that how you remember him, or do you remember him as Akeem?
I remember Akeem, and I remember even as a child being puzzled by the creative decisions that led to that.
Mark, Cheech, you got memories of One Man Gang, Akeem?
I do. I have memories of One Man Gang first, and then Prince Akeem, of course, which is actually really funny because I guess at the time I did not know they were the same person. So I would assume, I was at the age where you could completely change a character and be like, oh, that's a completely different human being. Only later in life did I find out that One Man Gang was Prince Akeem, and yes, I was offended. By the time I found out what was happening, it was universally offensive across the board. So,
not to make this a One Man Gang Prince Akeem
tribute show,
exclusive podcast.
He was a beast, by the way.
He
One Man
was
Gang as One Man
legitimately
Gang.
Huge guy, huge guy,
like a really intimidating guy, yeah,
and a good worker. Like a lot of wrestlers from his era, fell in some hard times. He had his house wiped out by Hurricane Katrina. He had some health issues too. He's had some various GoFundMes that have been well received. So shout out to One Man Gang. Thank you for the autograph. Shout out to Pro Wrestling Crate, who is not our sponsor. This is just a free plug for them. And shout out to United Elite Wrestling, our boy Chris Keith. Thank you for the great time we had this summer, as always. All right, let's jump into it. Cheats, I'm going to turn it over to you. There was AEW's big pay-per-view, and there was a coronation on Saturday. I want to talk about it because I'm excited. Cheats, take it away.
Well, I know you're really excited about it, and I think it was universally called. One of the things about our show, especially when we're doing these preview shows, as we'll do tonight as we lead into Survival Series, is this might have been our highest prediction accuracy count. I think we were only off by one match on Full Gear. I think we got just about everything right. Which is
I don't put any opinion if that's good or bad. It's fine.
Well, it just means that the show is more predictable than we think.
To us,
because normally we're not. Normally
you'll
we're not.
You'll find Maybe, but you'll find varying opinions anywhere you look. So I don't put too much stock in that.
I will say this. Not only were we right about the main event, we were right about how it happened. And just about everybody else in the world knew that Regal was going to turn on Blackpool and somehow help MJF get over the hump. That is John Moxley. And they did. So Regal slips MJF brass knuckles MJF after a pretty good match after a really long night, hits Moxley with the brass knuckles, wins the belt. Crowd goes crazy. The MJF era begins. Look, and then immediately afterwards, MJF cuts about a 2-minute promo in the media scrum that lets
Media
you
scrums have
know
become very popular lately.
that lets you know, hey, it's a new day and I'm in charge here, and that's how it goes. I'm because I kind of felt it was coming. I felt it was coming this way. I'm excited for the MJF era, but I have no clue what the future holds. Elliot, Tom, what do you guys think?
Tom, what's your AEW is not in your wheelhouse necessarily, but I know this is one that you're sort of taking particular interest in. I'm interested in your thoughts too.
Well, I think it's the interesting part is even as somebody who doesn't really watch the shows closely, even I knew what was going to happen in the main event. So that's one thing. I would say right now AEW is at a critical juncture because I think that everybody, including AEW hardcore fans, would agree that the last several months for them, and maybe even to a larger extent, even before then, but certainly since the last pay-per-view, they've been in sort of a digging out of a hole mode. And now that feels like, okay, now we're back to where we need to be to move forward. And I think, CM Punk, old news, the Elite are back. MJF, new era for the company with him as the world champion. And now I feel like they don't have to dig themselves out of holes anymore. Now it's time to build something new. So I'll be interested to see where they go because I'm like you guys. I think there certainly is maybe a blueprint for how you handle a world champion MJF, but I don't think that anything. I think now, as predictable as things have been and recently, I think now things get a little more unpredictable and therefore interesting.
I think you make some really good points. I agree with basically all of them. Cheats, you as well. I did want to see this. I think we all knew this was coming, and it was just about how it was going to come off. And as the weeks led up to it, and especially in the Go Home show, we all universally agreed that yes, Regal will likely be the one. I think I like the way we thought he may still need Stokely in the firm. That turned out to either be just sort of a idea that they changed on the fly, which would have made sense. Stokely has now seems like he has a stable he can focus on. Whether he feuds with MJF or not, it's irrelevant at this point. Regal made the turn, didn't leave the ring with him, didn't come in the ring. They exchanged glances, but this was all about MJF. I'm excited to see what's going to happen Wednesday, how MJF will address it. Is Regal fully on board? Is he going to be this observer? And how is Blackpool Combat Club going to react to this? I don't see an implosion because of this yet. Wouldn't surprise me if Mox is not on TV for a couple of weeks, whether we want him there or not. It wouldn't surprise me if he just was gone. We'd focus on maybe this Danielson, Castagnoli, Yuta, how they deal with Regal. But I'm most interested to see what Regal's going to do because I know what MJF's going to do. He's going to be lights out with his promos. One promo after the other is better, and now he's wearing the gold. Now he can say, if you thought he could say whatever he wanted before, just wait till now. I'm all on board for it, but I'm most intrigued about what Regal and BCC will go from here.
Yeah, some good things that happened after the camera shut off was that BCC seemed to be still intact. So Claudio, Eula, and Bryan Danielson come to the ring, tell Moxley what happened. Moxley seemed extremely pissed after he found out what happened. So I do think that we probably will see Mox maybe for at least this coming up week, maybe, and then Blackpool kind of stays together for now without Regal, and then we'll see where that goes. All in all, though, I think that Tom, you're exactly right, and I feel like we often talk about the bloodline and how we're amazed at how it didn't get stale. It hasn't. They've figured out ways to infuse new things to make the bloodline story a renewed story or a new story or something. I kind of felt that way, been feeling that way for a while now about AEW as a whole. All of the stuff that's happened with Punk and the Elite and backstage, it was so much taking away from what was happening in the ring. And we're trying to figure out how can we get a reset? Like, what's the reset that we can do? MJF getting the belt is, I think, the Elite coming back in the fashion that they did allows you to reset, start new feuds, start new things, get over the hump quite a bit. And I was really, really excited about that. Quickly, we'll talk about some of the other big hits in regards to Full Gear, because I don't know how they do it, but they seem to do it just about every time. They have these marathon pay-per-views. The 0 hour started at 7 o'clock. The final match didn't end till what? Well after midnight or something of that nature.
A little bit after midnight, yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking there is no way I'm going to be excited about half these matches. That was the comments that Elliot, you and I were having leading up to the preview. Like, I might be excited about 5 of these. And it turns out that every match that I kind of said I could get up and leave, I couldn't get up and leave. They were that good.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I would say the match of the night to me still has to be, as predicted, Lucha Brothers, Death Triangle, the Elite coming back, Kenny Omega. And I will say this, Kenny Omega, when he came back the first time and he had like all the tape on his shoulder and it was a really botched and sloppy match, and we were like, ooh, something's wrong with Kenny. Either he's hurt or he came back too soon. I don't know what it was, but the Kenny Omega that showed up Saturday night at Full Gear and the Bucks that showed up looked, I mean, physically walking to the ring, I was like, they look great.
Yeah.
They look in shape. They did all of the things without a hesitation. That looks like that they needed that time off just for health and rest and like healing, because they looked at the top of their game. And every time Pac and the Lucha Brothers get in the ring, they bring their game. It was that, I think it was the match of the night. I thought it was an amazing match. Very close, surprising enough too, was the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus cage match. I thought it was phenomenal. But what'd you think of the Elite coming back? And Elliot, what'd you think about how they actually physically looked in the ring?
No one, everyone knows that I'm not the biggest Bucks fan. However, they might have turned the corner with me on Saturday night because A, they did look terrific. B, you can always get EJ the Collector with a good intro package, and that was a good intro package they had.
You like the Wayward Son?
It's one, yeah. Count on Tony Khan just throw money at a problem, and but I think this is pretty cool that he's doing it for good music. So be questionable, but good way to spend that money to keep your talent happy and to further the right story, because it was a good way to sort of cap off this return. I didn't see the FCM Punk's chance happening. I didn't see it. It's sort of, I didn't expect it. Although once it happened, I said, yeah, I guess we know how the fans at least feel tonight about it. If Punk was returned next week, who knows what would happen. But however, it didn't occur to me that would happen. It was loud. It was quick.
It was audible from wide shots in the ring. It Absolutely. Was. I think the test for that in AEW is going to be Chicago. They're coming to Chicago very soon.
Sure.
And Chicago is CM Punk country, so we will kind of hear what people think. But I think at best it's going to be a 50-50 crowd, if not a 75-25 AEW Elite crowd over CM Punk. CM Punk has gotten the worst of this as we've gone through.
You summed up the return, and I think even the reset of this company now. Like I'm still wanting to see someone like Adam Cole return. There are some big names that still need to come back, I think, for AEW made whole. But to both your points, they've climbed themselves out of the hole.
Not yet. They've hit a reset. I think they're still in a hole. I think they're still trying to catch up.
I think there is somewhat of a reset happening though, and it's all about momentum. And the guns they have right now with Samoa Joe now carrying 2 belts, Wardlow being free to go wreak havoc again, and MJF is your champion. AEW is now firmly, I think, tilting upwards right now. However, an injury, a bad storyline, another bad media scrum can change all that. However, the Elite's going to be back, at least in charge in the ring. And I think that trios title is, going to have more matches. This best of 7 is going to be exciting. Obviously, they're going to have 7. They've basically advertised all 7 dates and everything. They did put the cursory, if necessary, on the last 4, or the last 5. But we all know that it's going to go 7 and culminate with probably a banger. And I don't even want to start predicting now because I can't wait to see all these matches occur. These guys are going to have, I think, the feud of the holidays into January and February, while MJF goes out there and cuts killer promos every week.
I will say this, and Tom, jump in if you want to, but I will. I'll end our kind of full gear wrap up with a couple of things that you mentioned it. I think it's the surprise of the night. The fact that Samoa Joe now has 2 belts. He has the Ring of Honor television belt and now the TNT title that he took off of Wardlow by pinning Powerhouse Hobbs. I thought it was a better match than I expected. However, really, really surprised where we go from here with that story. And ultimately, it leads to a bigger question whether AEW takes Ring of Honor off TV altogether, because I think they probably should and figure out a way to branch that off in 2023. But really, really surprised about Samoa Joe. Equally less surprised about the Acclaim retaining in the fashion that they retained, which is Keith Lee walking away from Swerve towards the end of the match and just leaving Swerve to get pinned by the Acclaim. The crowd's happy, everybody goes home. You still have, I think, a very exciting homegrown tag team champions. I do hope they move on. I hope they figure out kind of what's next for the Acclaimed and obviously branch Swerve and Keith Lee off into singles competition. Jade retains over Nyla. I thought it was one of the better stories that they did storytelling leading up to Full Gear. Really excited about that. And I will say, as predicted, and here's the thing.
Talking about the Ocho.
I am not talking about the Ocho, but we can. I was going to talk about what I thought was probably the low point of the night, which happens to be Saraya is still, I think, not a great wrestler. Her 5 years off didn't help her, and I thought the Saraya Tony Storm match was really bad. I thought it was bad.
Britt Baker.
The Saraya and I'm sorry, you're right. Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, props to Jamie Hayter, new champ. We all wanted that. We all got it.
We all wanted it. We all got it, and the crowd wanted it. She is so over. But no, Saraya's horrible. I didn't think she was that great when she was 100% healthy. She has proven to be that she was not that great. I don't think in the ring. She wasn't that great in the ring on Saturday night, and I can only hope if they're going to keep putting her in main storylines as we move forward, which I know they will. I just hope she gets better. Like, there was just nothing. That one left a lot to be desired.
She'll watch that match. I'm sure she's probably thinking about her performance, whether she thinks she did great or not so great. I'm sure she's probably one of her harsher critics. So we'll see improvement or we'll see a change. But I just want the best for her because she's one of my faves.
TG, you'll appreciate this because I do think that this is a lot like when we talk about Alex Smith, and we talk about Alex Smith often. Just completion. Just get off the field healthy, and that is what it is. But I really thought Saraya was awful.
Awful. King, no dollar.
And now we are joined, ladies and gentlemen, by the original himself, the OG, Ty. Gimmick inserted here. What is the gimmick today, Ty?
The gimmick is, as it always has been, the real Black Brewery in Richmond.
I like it. Well, Ty, we were just wrapping up our overall thoughts on Full Gear, the pay-per-view that was in the new start of the MJF era. Do you have any comments on where AEW goes with MJF as the champion and the guy that they have chosen to lead the company moving forward?
This should have happened a lot sooner.
Yeah. Why didn't it?
Because a certain somebody can't keep his mouth shut on the mic. Phil Brooks.
Okay. Okay.
Because I truly think the entirety of that plan was to cash in not at Full Gear, but a whole lot sooner on Mr. Punk. But can't please some people.
Do you feel, Ty, that AEW has been able to, now that they've got a new champion, they've got actually a couple of new champions. We mentioned Jamie Hayter as well. Do you think they're able to hit the reset button and chart a course that will kind of put them on better footing? They've been kind of muddling through the mud the last couple of months.
I don't see it as a reset per se. I see it as like a refocusing. I think the Brawl Out 2020, 2022, I think it just took them for a little bit of a loop that they had to rush plans. And then you got a certain Heel with Heel's favorite, out with a back injury. Hope she gets well soon. And a lot of other stuff that just happened, like Malachi Black leaving and not leaving.
Andrade leaving and leaving, seemingly.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things that happened that at the same time that made it the perfect storm. But now that they've seemingly gotten past that, I think that it's going to be a bit of a refocus. We're going to see the old AEW back. That started up and was like the internet darling.
I'm all for that.
No more swerving Keith Lee.
No more swerving Keith Lee. No more swerving Keith Lee. New champion, as we mentioned, Jamie Hayter. Jade Cargill is still rolling. But I think to put a bow on the AEW Full Gear talk and move into what we're going to talk about with War Games and Survival Series, I will say there is a opportunity now for newer, fresher storylines. I think more so in AEW than we've had in several months. My fear is that AEW hasn't focused on storytelling for a very long time, and I think we've covered it up in many ways, thinking, one, you know how we it's often said like, oh, AEW is just doing long-term storytelling, and then we realized that they didn't have a story. Like we were just, I think we put way too much faith in the idea that they were telling these elaborate long time like stories and they had plans. I was talking to our good buddy, friend of the show, Doug, earlier today, and all of us kind of have a heart for AEW, but we also realize that it's November, and for the better part of 2022, we probably gave them the benefit of the doubt on the fact that we thought they knew what they were doing with storytelling and plans and like all of this stuff, and then we realized it's November and they didn't have it. So
I also think, in addition to that, I also think it doesn't help when the story that is most intriguing or drawing the most interest from fans, including casual fans, is the story that's not taking place on screen. Right. That is a huge hurdle to overcome when you're trying to put together stories, both because it draws focus, but also in this case, because for the last couple of months, people who were key players in that company were not on TV and not part of and not talked about. Right. So like I said at the top, I think now they're at least at a pivot point where they can say like, okay, now we can focus and just start creating something rather than kind of getting out of something or maneuvering through something. So,
and this will be a conversation for another episode because I know we've got to move forward. But interesting now, I would say about a year analysis on whether the one-off matches that quote unquote the forbidden door matches, those one-off matches with Japanese superstars, the one-off matches with indie superstars that come to AEW, were they as effective in building a new audience? Now, this is for example, Great Muta showing up and doing something cool, that's fantasy booking for all the marks like me. It's phenomenal. But the idea that a Muta showing up or what Eddie Kingston did at Full Gear, those are one-off matches that not only don't have storylines, they don't have the opportunity to have storylines because they're not signed to the company.
Right.
And so we've had like a year of this. Oh man, this is really cool. We get to see Tanahashi come and fight John Moxley at a big night. But it's not a story that I think WWE and some of the other companies can really build and get people invested in. So they're not building a new audience.
It makes me happy. Move along. Seeing Eddie Kingston wrestle a Japanese wrestler makes me happy. I don't. Yes,
but, I mean, it looks like they're going to keep doing it, but I do think it's at some peril to what happens of building new fans.
I'm with you, Mark. I think that you can do it in isolation here and there, in the same way that you can have a celebrity match or something like that here and there, with the understanding that, well, Shaquille O'Neal is not going to stay with the company long term, so you can't do a long term story with Shaq, for example. When you kind of go all in on that concept, though, as you just pointed out, you run into problems. And that's what I think about when you go back to, the everything that kind of led up to the Forbidden Door pay-per-view itself. And we had all these cool people who were like really good and really interesting on TV, but they're not going to be on TV. Going in, they're not going to be on TV a month from now or 6 weeks from now. And so if you put too much stock in those kinds of matches at once, I think it can potentially do some long-term, or at least, let's say, 3-month type damage to your ability to plan for the future.
Well, let's definitely let's move on. But like,
put a pin in it.
Again, I want to. We all want to have like a final word too, and I want to give Ty if he has a final word. But like to that point, I'd say, all right. So the reset, the future, the ideas, especially that idea. Tony Khan, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, and maybe Jeff Jarrett are now the ones who are crafting that. I guarantee those matches will continue because that seems to be the vision all along, and a lot of us are bought into it. But yes, that's not really built for new fans, so they do need to figure that out. Agreed? Who are we going to look to for anything to change if this is sort of was, I think, because maybe it was what it was all about, and maybe I want to go down rabbit holes and conspiracy theories on other shows about this is why Cody left. It gets me all heated, but like, this is what Kenny and the Bucks got Tony to pay for because Tony likes it too. This is what it is. And the efforts so far to make it mainstream have been successful enough, I think, for the networks. And I think to an extent, that's what Tony's concerned about. Tony's battling his love for wrestling. I don't think he ever dreamed of being this involved. We're going to go down a tangent, but like, if you're looking for a change in more of a mainstream wrestling program, having Kenny and the Bucks drive it is not going to be the way to go. And I'm all for that too, because it's not my money and I want to see that kind of wrestling. But you do bring up lots of interesting points about it.
And I will say this: this is not something that got AEW here. So you got to understand that this is something that really took off this year with a lot of the interchanging of not just Japanese wrestlers, like Juice Robinson wrestling John Moxley for fun. You know what I mean? It's like this is not something. When AEW first came on TV and they were doing really unique, different storytelling stuff, it was still building up talents within the company. Now it seems like they're probably at least 40% invested in some of this stuff that I think is cool for myself, you, Ty, TG, you know what I mean? But it's not what got the Acclaim to be the Acclaim. It's not what got MJF. MJF didn't make his mark wrestling, Tanahashi or Okada. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
where do we start here? Again, discussion for another time. You're exactly
for
right.
Sure.
I'm going to switch over. EJ the Collector. We've got a pay-per-view on Saturday night, and we've got a lot of WWE stuff to talk about. It is your show.
It is the 36th Survivor Series.
Wow.
You guys know that? Third time it's in Boston. What other facts did I read about before? Yeah, Boston is known for its exports. And no, it's 36th time. There was some other first. Okay, this is the first time in a while that Raw versus SmackDown is not like the Survivor Series matchup for brand supremacy. It's been a few years since they haven't done that, and they're not doing it this year. The go home show for Raw kind of set the stage for the War Games match that's going to take place with KO and the Brawling Brutes and the Bloodline. I'm probably most excited for that, although there are a bunch of other matches that we do need to talk about. So quick first on Raw, and again, full disclosure, didn't catch all of Raw, so I'm counting on TG to sort of back me up a little bit. But Omos and Johnny Gargano, what is the point with Johnny Gargano taking a bad L, and then are we trying to, is Omos now just a character who's going to come out and squash people? Because before he was squashing 2 or 3 local talent at a time. Now he's squashing Johnny Gargano. And what's the plan here?
I think what they figured out with Omos, which is I think pretty self-evident, is that he has a lane. He has a thing that he can do, and it's pretty limited. But for now, they want to keep him on the show. Gargano is an interesting one. I have nothing against Gargano, but I don't think I'm as big of a fan of Gargano as people who are like diehard old school NXT people.
Or maybe Triple H isn't as of it seems.
Then that's the interesting point, because Triple H brought him back, and after sort of the initial, I guess, honeymoon phase of a few weeks, the 2 things that he has done have been he has been the third wheel in this weird Miz Dexter Lumis thing, and by the way, the wobbly wheel of the 3, because it was like, oh, this is weird and interesting, and then it went to, oh my god, why over explain the whole thing, and why does Johnny Gargano really care? Like it's weird, and now he's got new music, and he is jobbing for Omos. So the question becomes, is Triple H, as a creative leader, is he okay with this idea of let's, bring somebody back or rehabilitate a character, but I don't consider that necessarily a long-term investment. And we can get into Karrion Kross later, but I mean, the idea is like, we're bringing back these people not to, let's put them where they should have been all along, but rather like, hey, here's a guy, let's get him back, but he's going to slip down the card pretty quickly. So I don't know. I think Gargano, we've already seen, maybe that's the case with him. I'm not sure. It's unclear, but not a good sign based on what happened Monday.
Ty, since we haven't had John in a while, were you at all intrigued with the Miz and Dexter Lumis storyline? Did you like where it was going? Did you like sort of how it's maybe not, because it's not resolved yet, because I think they're going to have this match. Is it the match on Saturday? When are they wrestling for the contract? Or did that already happen?
They were supposed to, and then it got canceled.
Okay, Ty, was the Miz and Dexter Lumis intriguing you?
No,
you didn't like.
No.
You didn't like Lumis under the ring, in the house.
No, because who's the babyface in this?
This is what we talked about. Yeah,
right, exactly.
The intriguing part to me was the guy who was like threatening this other man's family is the face.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's wrestling for you. I'm really excited about Survivor Series and especially War Games, and I want to talk about the card. Cheats, before we do, is there anything else from the lead up in Raw last night that you want to address?
No. The only thing, because I didn't. No, I will say this. I'm actually intrigued. Not even slightly intrigued. I'm intrigued about the World Cup tournament. Oh. And I thought that was it last Friday night. Ricochet and Ali had a really, really good match, and we say this every time about Ricochet. The guy is just a talent. Ali's is an amazing talent as well. And every week Ricochet does something that I'm like, God, they got to use this guy more. And it was the Musa, like the shooting star press against a standing Ali to get the 3 count on SmackDown. I just thought was awesome. I think so. I'm intrigued now. He has to fight Braun Strowman, and I think there was a promo where like Ricochet's like, "Don't forget about us, flippity flippers" type thing. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Can I talk about the World Cup really quick?
Yeah,
Go for it.
Is this counter programming for whatever AEW is doing? Because you have a World Cup with 3 different countries involved.
I think it's just because Fox has the World Cup.
Yeah, it's a World Cup programming
cross
for
promotion with the
World Cup. That's exactly
Yeah.
Fox has the World Cup.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm
How
sorry.
How good is Ricochet? Ricochet was really good. Ricochet Ali match I thought was a good match.
I am. You already know. I'm not. Look.
Have they revealed like what the prize is going to be? Is it going to be a medal, a trophy, a belt?
You get a shot at the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
Is that what it is? A shot at the
Title
Intercontinental
Get
Championship.
smashed by Gunther. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
By.
Yeah, Gunther.
Yep.
That's what I want to call him.
Volta. By Volta. You can get smashed by Volta. And
Right.
Yeah, but I do want to go back. I do want to go back a little bit to the Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano is in a holding pattern right now, but he can't win every match because that would get boring because he's the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
They're waiting for Tommaso Ciampa to get back.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
They are.
Right.
They are.
Yeah.
They want to do something with them. I don't know. I think more than likely is to get DIY back together. Just so they can face, because someone has to beat the Usos. Somebody has to.
We speculated on this show that it's going to eventually be Sammy and KO that dethrone the Usos, but that might not happen because I think Sammy could be thrust into this world title picture. But
that's the thing. I mean, that Sammy's stock has gone up so much since we were first talking about that. I think at this point anything is on the table.
Right, anything can happen. Let's discuss the women's.
Can I say one more thing about Raw real quick?
For sure.
So the point I was going to make earlier, the interesting thing to me about Raw was you have the women's War Games match, which is a Raw. I mean, that is a Raw story because you have the Raw Women's Champion, you have Raw superstars all around, and yet the key point of the whole piece of intrigue. They're going to wait to announce it on SmackDown, which got a big boo from the crowd on Monday. Mm-hmm. So to me, what that indicates is clearly they have decided internally that, SmackDown, whether they say it or not, SmackDown is the A show, period, the end.
I've always said this.
Yeah. I mean, since it moved to Fox. Since it moved to Fox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always said this time. Always.
The partnership with Fox makes it the A show. Raw has been the A show for the entirety of the Monday night existence of wrestling. Right now, because of Fox, SmackDown's the A show.
Yeah, and to me, just from a story, I understand there's business considerations, but from a storytelling perspective, I think it is a bad decision to take something that is Raw and then have the payoff be on SmackDown. I don't like that. I think it long term it undermines it undermines the product, and it undermines probably from a business standpoint your relationship with NBC Universal. But that's for them to figure out.
Well, this
somehow.
Yeah, this TBA who will join Bianca and Bliss and Asuka and what's her name now? Mia Yim's name? Min Chin.
Do we know who it is? Do we have predictions about who it is?
We'll talk. Yeah, well, wait in a second. But we have Damage Control, Nikki Cross, who I think is really leaning into her character, and I like Nikki Cross right now. And of course, Rhea Ripley, the wild card, the 5th member of this team. There's been a lot of rumors and speculation. We're going to let Cheat, since you were chomping at the bit.
I have no clue. No
clue. Ty, you got a clue? Because I have a clue.
So I read the dirt sheet. I read the dirt sheets. So
okay, so
then.
Know who's
then.
Okay, Tom, do you want to take a guess before TG
Well,
and
I know
reveal who it's going to be.
I know that there's been some chatter that because they're in Boston that it would be Sasha Banks, but that to me would be a waste. I think if Naomi is going to come back, I think you bring them back together and pay off that story. I think it would be weird for it to be Sasha. I mean, is Becky ready to come back? Could it be Becky?
Well, that's what the dirt sheets are speculating.
Oh.
And that's what makes most sense.
Yeah,
and it does make sense. And her timetable for her return was October, so that makes sense. The other person would be Charlotte, but that
God, if they bring her back as a face, I swear to God, I will. It's like, guys, this is not rocket science. Please figure out who the good guys and bad guys in your company are. This is easy, and you're.
I don't think it's Charlotte.
No, I think it's most likely Becky. I think it'll be great. She'll Becky and Bianca. They'll finish their story from WrestleMania. It does make sense. I think good triumphs over evil in this, and it'll be violent. And I'm interested in seeing Rhea Ripley, get her hands on Bianca because I think that's a feud down the road that we're likely to see. You want to talk about the men's match? These two have been just careening toward each other for so long. The Brutes, along with Drew McIntyre, they found their fifth. There was some rumor speculation also leading up, but we all knew who it was going to be. KO's music really pops the crowd. I mean, KO is probably legit behind maybe Roman and Sammy, the third most important person in that company, and deservedly so.
Oh, I can't believe you stabbed your boy Bray Wyatt in the back like that by saying that.
Yeah, what is going on here?
We are
41.
Rabbit. Well, we are 41 minutes into the show, and we didn't even address Bray Wyatt, and that's okay because Bray Wyatt's not getting in a wrestling ring anytime soon.
At this point, I want him to make it through the entirety of his contract without having a single match.
If it goes, if we can make it toward WrestleMania, that would make me happy. He's the weirder these encounters are, get the better. But he is getting physical now. He is actually starting to interact with other wrestlers. LA Knight's a great foil for him.
Let's put a pin in that because I do want to come back to Bray Wyatt. You have been the source of all kinds of Bray Wyatt theories.
Mm-hmm.
I now have a theory about where they might be going with this, but let's focus on Survivor Series.
Definitely save that. Bray is not going to be. If Bray has a bit of Survivor Series, it'll either be at the end or it'll be just a blip. He won't really factor in much, so we can table Bray Wyatt. He's tied for third most important person in the company with Kevin Owens. So Roman, the bloodline in entirety, the bloodline, I think, takes a lot of these tag team 6-man L's on television. They seem to come up big in the pay-per-view moments. Does this continue, Cheats? Does the bloodline go over?
No, I mean they can lose this match. This match means nothing to them. The bloodline story at this point is keeping the gold, getting as much gold and keeping the gold. If this is a big time match that they can pay off, they're kind of, they're booking for Clash of the Castle. Give Drew a win. Give the Brutes and Sheamus, who are now really, really over as faces, right? If they can pay this stuff off with these guys without Roman Reigns having to risk anything and without the Usos having to risk the belt, I'm all for them. Giving the people what they want at War Games. It'll be a lot of fun. But we know where this is going, and I'm excited that they introduced KO. They introduced KO in a way where he gets to get at odds with his best friend Sami Zayn. This is gonna be what leads into WrestleMania, and I'm excited about those types of things. But yeah, it's gonna be. Hopefully, it's a good match. Hopefully, it's a fun match, and I don't think there's any risk of Roman losing any of his shine in this match.
Ty, what's your interest level in this War Games match on a scale of 1 to 10?
It is a 9.
9, good. I like hearing that.
Because of KO and Sammy. This is what's going to happen. And remember, my predictions come true.
Most of them do, yeah.
There's going to be conflict that's going to be breeding between KO Sammy, and Roman, which is going to lead to the Bloodline losing the match because he doesn't want to hurt his best friend, KO, which will then lead into a three-way for the Undisputed Universal WWE Heavyweight Championship. I don't know what the fuck they call it anymore. Pardon my language. But at WrestleMania.
That's what WrestleMania is going to be. Okay. Triple threat.
And this is where it starts. Because there is no more, there's not another pay-per-view until the Royal Rumble. And if Cody is not coming back by the Royal Rumble, Sammy and KO is going to be your main event.
Wow. TG, can you see that happening in this universe?
I think, as we've talked about in the past, I think that that is certainly a plan that is probably being discussed now. I think there's two other factors in play that are going to determine what they wind up doing at WrestleMania, and that is, of course, the pipe dream of, is Dwayne Johnson available and
what do
interested?
they do with The Rock? Yeah.
And then two, like, how does Cody factor in, if at all? In terms of this match, I think Ty is exactly right. And as far as they've already seeded the ground with this idea that Sammy is conflicted when it comes to KO, which is hilarious because they've had 1,000 matches together, and it's like, now I can't hurt it. But anyway, that's fine. That's wrestling. That's the way it goes, and I'm totally cool with that. My interest level is also a 9 with this. I think the question of whether or not the Bloodline loses really depends on what the kind of, like, what their cadence is as far as telling the story goes. And I think some of the stuff I just talked about with who's available, what's going to happen, is going to dictate that. Because if they really are like, okay, our path to the WrestleMania main event is really clear. It's going to be, KO and Sammy and Roman, or it's going to be Sammy and Roman, or some combination of those guys, then I think we start to see that build now. I think the Royal Rumble, something happens, and then we, go to WrestleMania. If there's still some question about what that WrestleMania main event is going to be, I think you could see certainly there's going to be conflict and dissension, but the ultimate outcome of the match may be different if they're not 100% committed to that match. And the reason is because, of course, they want to keep the Bloodline strong, but also whenever you have a match with a faction that's an actual faction versus, a bunch of guys who are kind of one night only partners, it's going to make more sense more times than not to have the group that's going to stay together go over, because that's your long-term trajectory. So I'm super interested in what they're going to do, because everything that they have done, especially in the last few months, has been gold, and I just expect more of the same with this match.
Because of that flexibility, they want to have, up to maybe as late as they'd like, as much of time as they'd like to have to see if Dwayne's available or whatever. I think because of those reasons, Ty's reasons, your reasons, that's why you give Sammy the win at the Royal Rumble. Because if he's in the match, if he has to choose, he can then be, going in expected to help Roman. He could be going into by then. So I make early prediction for Royal Rumble winner is going to be, Sammy, KO be involved somehow. All right.
Let's be really clear in this sense, in my opinion, that is all of this stuff, which is the best story, one of the best stories in wrestling. I still do think it's the backup plan. I think the plan A, surefire, can we get this thing done, is LA, Los Angeles, Hollywood, Roman Reigns, undisputed champion versus The Rock. Let's figure it out and let's see if we can get it done.
That's obviously that's what Vince wanted. Is that what Triple H wants too? Is he in lockstep with that to see that as the best plan for business when he's trying to build this?
I think you're a bad businessman if you turn that down. If it's an option, I mean that's the biggest.
Sure.
In fact, it's a different model, but the biggest pay-per-view they ever had, WrestleMania, was Rock Cena 1, I think. The question to me is, like, not only is The Rock interested at this point, like, what does he have to gain, but also, like, it's been like 10 years since he had a match, and he's like 56-ish, something like that. I mean,
2 years younger than Billy Gunn.
God, that guy is a medical marvel.
Right.
So is Bobby Lashley, by the way. That dude's older
Right?
than
Yeah.
we are, Cheatham.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
Bobby Lashley is amazing.
um,
R-Truth. I mean, come on. Sting.
yeah.
Sting even.
Yeah, of course you want. Of course you want Rock Reigns, I guess. But the wrestling.
Because and the reason you do it also is because, and this would be the pitch I would make behind the scenes if I were involved in this decision. I would say you could always do Sammy and KO, and that can be SummerSlam main event. It could be, who knows. You've got time. You've got guys under contract. You can do week to week storytelling. You're going to get one shot at doing the Rock and Roman, and Rock being sort of the final boss in this, ascension of Roman Reigns. And then from there, you can do everything else you want to do with those guys who are on the roster. That would be my argument. And also the fact that the buy rate's going to be way higher. It might not be as good of an interesting. It'll be awesome because The Rock is awesome, but it might not be quite as entertaining for people who are week to week watchers of the show and lovers of Sami Zayn and Kevin and Roman Reigns. But I think you got to do it for the box office.
A match just slightly less interesting than the prospect of Rock and Roman. Ronda Rousey, Shotzi Blackheart at Survivor Series.
Great transition. Great
cheats.
transition.
Cheats. Who do you got? And who do you got? And why do you care?
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care at all.
Right.
Ronda to me still. It's yeah. I just don't know. I'm talking about like in the pantheon of WWE and wrestling. I just don't know where she fits to me, and I know like.
Logan Paul was better in one night than Ronda Rousey's been her entire career.
And it's like, and he seems to respect the business more than Ronda does.
Ty, who do you got and why do you care?
I don't care. Go ahead.
Isn't Kyrie Irving supposed to be coming back in his game? His first game back during.
He's already back. He came back last night.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'd rather still watch. I'll watch a rerun of that.
Why are they doing this? Tom and Elliot, why are they doing this? This makes no sense to me. Why are they doing this?
I mean, I think it's just you have a champ. It's one of the bigger pay-per-views of the year, one of the major shows. You need to have your champ on the show wrestling someone.
Yes, and I don't think they're quite. I think they're holding out for Ronda. They're thinking Ronda Shayna would be an interesting feud. They're saving that maybe for the spring. So, Natalia's got a broken nose. Everyone else is involved in the War Games match. This is okay by me. Shotzi's a good egg. She's young, and she was over as hell in NXT, and she was misused.
Yeah, was she? That's my question.
Was the tank over?
They are one and the same. She's not any more dynamic a wrestler than lots and lots and lots of other talent on the roster. But yes, the tank is a gimmick that gets over. It's like a lot of gimmicks that have gone over in wrestling. So yes, Ronda's gonna go over. I don't know. They just weren't ready. They're not ready for another not Alexa Bliss, but Liv Morgan is seemingly now not involved in that. So this is what you got.
I will say this: when they moved Shotzi to the main roster, like originally,
didn't give her the tank.
No, I was just dumbfounded. It was one of those things where I was like, really? Of all the talent you have at NXT, she's the one you chose at that time to come up to the main roster. And I've watched a lot of NXT matches. I watched a lot of matches. There was not a match where I was like, Shotzi Blackheart is someone that like really needs to put a rocket on her back. Like no.
Let's inject a moment of NXT into our Tuesday shows since we really do. Cheats. Who is the next top female talent coming out of NXT that'll hit the roster next?
Well, is it gonna be? I mean, do we count Toxic Attraction? Is that like they're ready? They've been ready.
Let's assume they're ready, and we'll come on with which single star is Nikita Lyons ready to go to the main roster yet?
You're talking women's division only, right?
Yeah, women's division only.
Yeah, I'd probably say
Zoe Stark.
I'd probably say Nikita's the one that's got the crowd.
Okay. Oh God.
She's got the crowd. She's got the crowd more so than the woman that Tide refused to call D-Drop. Like Nikita Lyons is basically kind of, we got to watch her on TV when she's on.
We don't
Ty.
have to watch her.
Cheeks, this is America last time I checked. We don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Toxic
By
Attraction and Mania.
all accounts online, you know, she seems to be the top name star. But Ty, who you got that you'd rather see on the main roster from NXT Women's Division?
Indy Hartwell.
Yeah. Okay. And why?
Her new gimmick is caring more about herself than anything else. This little mean streak that she's got now. Yeah. It's Indy.
Who would you want to see her feud with on the roster? Who would be the best first opponent for her?
I think you blow it right there. Just like with KO and Cena, you just blow it right there. Have Candice be the women's champion. Indy shows up and just wrecks her. Wrecks her because she's so surprised. And then you play that out for like the summer.
Damn. I could get down with that, sure. All right. Well, moving on. There's 2 more matches announced for the card. We kind of thought a few weeks ago that AJ and the OC and the Judgment Day were heading for War Games, but they're just going to have a singles match, AJ and Finn, with everybody else ringside. Everyone else will get involved. Tom, any reason why this ended up being a singles and not something more?
I don't think they wanted 3 War Games matches on the same card. The question in my mind is, why not? I mean, I guess the only thing preventing it from being a traditional Survivor Series type match is that they didn't want those matches on the card when they were emphasizing War Games, the gimmick, so much. And then the other thing is, it does get a little complicated when you have, 3 guys and a woman. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've ever done a mixed Survivor Series match before. Maybe they have.
They're not. WWE's not doing any intergender wrestling at all.
So that becomes tricky. So they're probably like, you know what? Let's just do it this way. I think Finn Balor is going to fare well under the new creative direction, and I think he's going to start getting more of a push as we move forward. And I think this will be. I mean, AJ Styles to me is just amazing and has been amazing for years. I'm sure it'll be a really good match. I think Finn Balor wins for sure.
Cheats. Who you got in this one? Balor and AJ Styles.
Yeah, I don't know in regards to who's going to come over the top, and I'm actually not sure who wins the match. Really wins the match, if you'll say, because there's going to be a melee at the end, and so basically I don't know who wins the matches, whose music is going to be playing at the end, but I think Judgment Day's music will be playing at the end of this one.
Ty, do you want to see the OC continue on as AJ's heavies, or do you want to see him actually start competing in the tag team division, or do you not care?
I would rather see them compete in the tag team division because the tag team division needs help. It's the Bloodline and whoever else. It's like
Alpha Academy. They can go through them.
Yeah, ready?
Probably. Will this match we're about to talk about be the main event, or do you think Men's War Games will be the main event? This triple threat match with AJ, with Seth freaking Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and a new Austin Theory. Men's War Games, though, Tom, still the main event.
Yeah, if Roman's on the card, he's in the main event.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, a match that I
think this is match 1.
Could be match of the night. They're going to do this one first.
I think it's match 1.
I think Cheatham's right.
Last on my list, but this would be a great opening match then. Seth Rollins, the U.S. champ, puts the title on the line against the 2 people he's been feuding with the last few weeks, and we've also been feuding with each other. We have Austin Theory, who has dropped the selfie. He has been repackaged, grew the beard out as best he could, darkened it in as best he could. And the man we talked about a few minutes ago, who is as old as we are and a few years older than some of us, and is in better shape than all 4 of us combined, Bobby Lashley. So let's talk about what dynamic of this evolving story has been most enjoyable for you, and then let's get a prediction. Cheats?
I think the thing that's most exciting to me is just the 2022 overall arc and trajectory of Bobby Lashley, right? So the fact that he's probably as over as he's ever been with the crowd, he's outside of dropping the belt, he's still probably as dominant as he's ever been. I mean, he just got out of a pay-per-view feud with Brock Lesnar. Like, how cool is that for Bobby Lashley, given all the stuff that he's been through in his career and where he is now? With that said, does he need the belt? I don't know if any of these guys. Maybe Theory is the guy that probably needs the belt the most. I think Seth freaking Rollins is going to be Seth freaking Rollins whether he has the belt or not. He's that good, and I don't know at this point if Bobby needs the belt. I'd like him to have it, and I think the storylines carry a little bit more with Bobby having the belt because it gives him something to do, and Seth can be Seth anywhere, and he's going to be awesome. So I'm gonna say that Bobby gets it back.
Ty, who you got in this?
Seth Rollins' theme song is over.
Yeah, it is.
So over. So
Yep.
It's more over than everybody in this match.
Yep.
That's the sad part about it. It's going to be Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is going to win this. Pinning Austin Theory, book it now.
I got you. Further angering, further changing his character darker. TG, who you got?
Yeah, the reason I don't think Bobby Lashley is going to win is that I think you make this a triple threat to protect Lashley so he doesn't have to get pinned and still will not be the champion. I think to Mark's point, I would have until a couple of weeks ago, I would have said Seth for sure. Now there's a little bit of doubt creeping in because they really are committing so hard to this change of direction for Austin Theory. The only thing that was weird is like they had the moment on Monday where he ran away from Bobby, and I'm like, well, that doesn't fit the character. Now you're going back to the old kid. That was weird. Tough call, which makes the match interesting to me because I'm not sure who's going to win, but I would say probably Seth retains, but I'm not certain anymore. It could be Austin Theory.
Wow, I'm right there with you, TG. I'm really kind of 50-50 on this now, especially with the way they're changing Theory's sort of persona. So just because I'm so with you right down the middle too, I'll just lean over and say they're going to take a gamble and throw the title on Theory and see what happens, and he's going to win in the opening match.
So does this mean Bobby's done though? If that's the case,
no. Bobby and Brock aren't done yet.
No.
Brock's just somewhere back on his ranch for a few weeks. It's contractually he'll reappear. Reese kick that back in, leading to Royal Rumble, where they'll have the confrontation that'll lead to WrestleMania, in my opinion. Yeah. So that's the wrap up. I'm really excited about. I hope all y'all are going to watch on Saturday. And as I throw it back to Cheats for. Right at the end, well, maybe some final AEW thoughts, but over the last year, there have been a lot of things I'm very thankful for. The three of you, Ali, our favorite heel and heels, Megan, definitely one of the top things being part of this podcast. So, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you all enjoy the holidays with family and all the wrestling that'll come up. So, thanks. TG? Or Cheats?
Are we not going to do the 5 minutes on Bray Wyatt? We're not going to do this?
I'm happy to share my thought. If
I want to say Bray Wyatt for next week. Let's
okay.
All right.
We'll do a heavy Bray Wyatt next week.
We'll talk about it after we go off the air because I want to hear this. But no, I echo everything we say. It's gonna be a lot of activity over the next couple of days because we've got a AEW Dynamite show following Full Gear. We've got the lead-in show of SmackDown. Or is there going to be SmackDown this Friday going into?
That's where they're going to announce the fifth member.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, by the way, somebody mentioned Doudrop, and I was like, oh, it could be Doudrop because she's got.
I hope not. I hope it's somebody big.
Okay.
Like a big.
I think it will because they're saving it.
It'll be like, ladies and gentlemen, Emma. What? Who is this?
Oh God, that's my least favorite thing on
Aaliyah.
SmackDown.
Aaliyah's back. No,
I wouldn't hate that.
There's a lot of good wrestling coming up. So maybe we'll jump on since we'll have some downtime here. Maybe we'll jump on after Survival Series or something like that. Figure out something super fast. But man, thank you guys, and excited about to see what happens.
Ty, glad you joined us tonight, man.
Ty, the OG is back.
Final thoughts before we go.
one.
Let's hear it.
Kenneth Omega versus William Ospreay.
Ooh, yeah,
Wrestle
yeah. That was. That's actually what I was popping for this week. We didn't even get a chance to talk about it. Oh yeah, That's the I mean, I'm glad that match is happening at Wrestle Kingdom. You know, I would love to see it happen at an AEW pay per view. Maybe we'll get a rubber match perhaps at some point. But damn, Ty, you're right.
I don't think AEW would appreciate it. I'm dead serious. And I just talked about the AEW like one-off matches, and I don't know if you put Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, even at the top of AEW pay-per-view, I don't think it gets the same reaction, response, and love and fanfare that it deserves. Wrestle Kingdom's the only place that can bring that.
Good. Just feed it directly into my head.
I disagree with it. I'm with Elliot with that, but feed it to me, because I believe that what got AEW to the dance is what the Elite did for New Japan. People that wanted to see AEW succeed are the wrestling nerds that loved New Japan and loved the Bullet Club run that they had.
Oh yeah.
So you think AEW could give this give Omega Ospreay the proper respect, more so than Wrestle Kingdom?
Yes, because
I disagree.
Wrestle Kingdom is the biggest wrestling show in Japan. Nowhere else. All Out is, I would say, is bigger in the United States than Wrestle Kingdom is in the entire world. That's not Japan.
Interesting.
I mean,
Interesting.
it could be All Out. It could be even Forbidden Door 2 if you build it. You know, all that stuff. I want to see it. Yeah.
I definitely want to see it. It'll be great.
Yeah, just make the whole show. Fuck it. Just make it all two or three nights of Wrestle Kingdom is just Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega wrestling. That's all.
Well, Cheats, on Tuesdays on my show, I always just submit and tap out. But you know how we go out on Thursdays. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Cheats, take us out here.
Oh no, man! Well, it's Tuesday night, man. So we got to, we should just tap it out.
Well, we've tapped it out. Enjoy enjoy Thanksgiving. Heels, Ali, we miss you. Ty, appreciate you. TG, enjoy. Cheats, you're the man.
We're out.
Peace out, guys. Thanks.